All right, today we are simplifying more algebraic expressions, but this time we are using the distributive property. We haven't learned about the distributive property in class yet, but we will use it a lot this year in algebra. So this is kind of a preview to what the distributive property is and how we can use it. So remember, expressions do not have equal signs. Equations do have equal signs. So every single thing you see on the board right now, all of these problems are expressions because none of them have equal signs in them. So let's look at number 1. We read this problem as 5 times the quantity. When you have the parentheses, you can say the quantity x plus 3. So when we have our 5 outside the parentheses like that there, we need to distribute it through the parentheses. That means we need to take it and multiply each term inside the parentheses by 5. So we're going to do 5 times x, so we're going to write that down, 5 times x, plus, because we have to bring down that plus sign, 5 times 3. We're multiplying each term inside those parentheses by 5. Here, 5 multiplied by x will just give us 5x plus 15, because 5 times 3 is 15. Now we look, we have no like terms, so we are done. We have simplified this expression as much as we can. Remember, as we're going through this, in class we practice how to get to the Desmos graphing calculator online. That is the calculator that is embedded in the air test that we're going to be using this year, so we get super good at using it in preparation for that test at the end of the year. We're going to be Desmos pros. So any calculation you need to do, you can do on Desmos. Here we have -7. We need to practice how we read these problems. -7 times the quantity 2a minus 5. Now again, we're going to use the distributive property, but this time we need to distribute a -7 through the parentheses. You have to take that negative sign with the 7. So we're going to do -7 times 2a and then we're going to do minus. We want to bring down that subtraction symbol. And now we need to distribute the -7 to the 5. So minus -7 times 5. You'll notice I put the -7 in parentheses just so we don't have these two negative signs right next to each other. All right, -7 times 2a is -14a. Minus -7 times 5 is -35. So now we don't have any more like terms. We're kind of done, but we need to clean up how this looks. So the -14a, we can leave that alone. And now, you might remember this from middle school, subtracting a negative number is the same as adding the opposite. So instead of subtracting a -35, we are going to add a +35. So subtracting a negative is the same as adding an opposite. And now we are done. So instead of subtracting the negative, we added its opposite. All right, now number 3 is getting a little tricky here. We have 10 minus, now in parentheses, we have the quantity 6m plus 7. So there's actually like a -1 out here. They don't write it there, but there's a 1. So we need to distribute the -1 to each term inside the parentheses. So you might be asking, well, then what do I do with the 10? I don't multiply the 10 through the parentheses? No, we're just going to bring the 10 down to the next line. So we have 10, and now we're going to distribute the -1 through the parentheses. So -1 times 6m will give us -6m. -1 times 7 will give us -7. I kind of skipped a step here. I didn't write out the full step as I did in step 2, problem 2. But you definitely can write that out. So write out -1 times 6m plus -1 times 7. Now we need to combine like terms. So I'm going to highlight the like terms in green. 10 and -7. Those are like because neither of them have an m. This -6m, we don't have anything we can combine with it. So now you want to do, what is 10 minus 7? 3. We're going to bring down that -6m. And that is the final answer. All right, so last problem. Here we're getting tricky. Lots more steps. We're just going to combine everything we just did. So the 9, we bring that down. The 2, so we have 9 plus 2 times the quantity 8 minus 3y minus 1. So the 9, we're going to bring it down for now. Plus, now the 2 is the number that we need to distribute through the parentheses. You only multiply it through the parentheses. So we're going to do plus 2 times 8 plus, now we need to distribute again, 2 times negative 3y minus 1. We just bring down that negative 1. You do not multiply this negative 1 by 2 because the negative 1 is not inside the parentheses. You only distribute inside the parentheses. All right, so then we have 9 plus 2 times 8 is 16 plus 2 times negative 3y, that's negative 6y minus 1. All right, now we need to combine like terms. So let's go through here. I'm going to highlight all of our constants. Remember, constants don't have a variable next to them, yellow. So 9, 16, and negative 1. Those are all constants. Now I'm going to highlight our terms that have the variable y in them, blue. So we have this negative 6y. Now we have to combine like terms. So I'm going to reorder it. I'm going to write all of the yellow terms next to each other. So 9 plus 16 minus 1, those were all our yellow terms. And then we have our blue minus 6y. I'm just going to bring that down. Now we can use our calculator to combine these like terms. So 9 plus 16 is 25, minus 1 is 24. Again, you can just type this in the Desmos calculator. Do 9 plus 16 minus 1 and see what it gets you. And then we have to bring down the 6y, so minus 6y. And now we are completely simplified. No more like terms. We can't simplify anymore, and we are done.